being overly nervous or anything. You know, I'm just going to prepare just like it is a normal start. I know it's, you know, it's my first one I've ever had in the big leagues, so there's some meaning there. It's special for me, but at the same time, I'm not going to make more out of it than it is. You know, I've been in the big leagues. We won the World Series. You know, it doesn't get much better than that. So now my job is to help the team win.
Well, the roof is open here at Minute Maid Park. It's a gorgeous night for baseball. First meeting between Tony La Russa's St. Louis Cardinals and the Houston Astros. And as we mentioned at the top of our broadcast, Al Raboski, both these teams are struggling, still looking for that first win.
Yeah, very similar in many ways. The Astros have struggled up the middle, uncharacteristic. Adam Everett made a couple errors the other day, and their center fielder, or second baseman, playing center field. But, you know, Adam Wainwright, and he said it best, but will he be able to control those emotions going out there for his first major league start?
Speaking of emotions, as the Astros take to the field, how about that ceremony for Jeff Bagwell? When you think of Bagwell, you think of Biggio.
Well, that's right. And, you know, Craig Biggio, who's 66 hits away from being the 27th player to get 3,000 hits at the major league level. You know, he's another Hall of Famer, but these two guys are just great cornerstones of this great franchise.
They have statues of those two outside this ballpark. Starting lineups brought to you by Southwest Airlines. We highlight Albert Pujols in this ballpark. Of course, one of those home runs, that dramatic shot off of Brad Lidge. He's got 16 in his career, 53 games at Minute Maid Park. And the Cardinals were outscored 20-2 and went 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position and getting swept by the Mets in the first series at Busch. They look to change that tonight. Let's meet our Rico starter, a left-hander, Wandy Rodriguez. And here's a guy that's worked out of the bullpen, but now is whether you can consider him a number 4 or a number 5 at the bottom end of their rotation.
Exactly right. You know, he has never defeated the Cardinals. He's 0-3. A little crafty left-hander, sneaky fast, got a pretty good curveball, then throws a changeup. He can at times get a little wild.
So Wandy Rodriguez against Adam Wainwright tonight. And let's take a look at the defense for Houston. Brad Ausmus, another Gold Glove behind the plate last season, his 3rd of his career. Around the Horn brought to you by Auto Tire. The big addition to their lineup, Carlos Lee, he's out left. As you mentioned, problems in center with Burke, and Scott is in right. It's Lamb, Everett, Biggio, and Berkman along the infield, and Rodriguez is the starter. So Ausmus beat out Yadier Molina for that Gold Glove.
Yeah, it's Yadi's going to get his share, but Brad Ausmus has been around, his 3rd piece of hardware. But I think Yadi, once he gets his first one, he'll have that distinction for quite a while.
David Eckstein to lead it off for St. Louis. David was in scoring position a bunch of times in that series against the Mets, but the Cardinals couldn't bring him in. He's hitting .330 after those 3 games with an RBI. And the first pitch is swung on and pulled out of play and foul. Eckstein, not a great spring, but depending on how you want to look at it, some people put a lot of stock in numbers, other people don't. And Grady Sizemore is a perfect example of why you don't. He was hitting around 130 in the spring and hit 3 home runs against Chicago.
Yeah, 3 home runs in 3 games, but you know, all the Florida teams struggled offensively.
Right back to the pitcher, Rodriguez, and that's the first out. A flip over to first to Lance Berkman, and the leadoff man is retired. Wandy Rodriguez made his major league debut in a start on May 23rd of 2005 against the Cubs at Wrigley Field. First major league win was at Milwaukee of that season. Wasn't great a year ago, and he is now in this rotation for Houston. It's Chris Duncan. The Cardinals in this lineup do not have Jim Edmonds, and in talking with Tony La Russa before the game, the medical staff told Tony that they can get 2 out of 3 from Edmonds over the weekend, and they figured, don't start him against this lefty, start him on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, it made sense, you know, so Edmonds rest against a left-hander, and coupled with the off day, you get that 2 days of rest for one. You see that little sneaky fast where that ball got on Chris Duncan a lot quicker than he thought.
Looked pretty good. Here comes a 1-2 pitch to Duncan. A breaking ball misses in. Jim Wolf is our home plate umpire. Tim Cheetah down at first, Jim Joyce at second base, and Jeff Nelson over at third. That's 2 of them right there in the outside corner that Rodriguez did not get the call.
I think Chris better swing at the next pitch no matter where it's at, because
pretty tough to take. Here comes a 3-2. Swing and a miss. First strikeout of the night for Rodriguez. First 2 are retired, and it brings in Pujols.
What was said about opening day against the Mets' Tom Glavine, left-hander, that Duncan was not in the lineup. But, you know, you got to get some offense, so you're going to put Chris in there to hopefully get the long ball. And I think they know who Albert is in this ballpark.
I think so. As Duncan hit 170 against lefties a year ago. Here's Albert. We always talk about pitchers worrying about the Crawford boxes out left. Well, the same could be said for hitters. Sometimes you get too full conscious.
Yeah, it's a very good point, Dan. If you can see Albert right there. Albert complained all spring he just really wasn't seeing the ball. Well, there's some reasons for that in Jupiter, but as a bad habit, he's gotten a little jumpy. And you don't often see him swing so wildly, even trying to protect the zone. But, you know, he's been crouching, trying to get himself from moving forward. But that is a byproduct of not trusting your hands, not letting the ball get deep into you.
Remember the first 2 months of last season, Albert Pujols carried this team. And now he's hitting just 100 after 3 games, but you figure that's going to turn around fairly quickly. And Pujols hits it out to deep right field. Scott is back near the wall and makes the catch. And the Cardinals go 1-2-3 against Rodriguez. Wainwright in his starting debut when we come back. Okay, Astros manager Phil Garner returns for his 4th season as the club skipper. A record of 219 and 178 with Houston. There's Biggio inching closer to 3,000 at the top of the lineup, followed by Lamb and Berkman, Lee, Scott and Burke, Everett, Ausmus, and Rodriguez. Craig Biggio in his 20th major league season.
66 hits away from 3,000.
First pitch to Adam Wainwright is a strike.
Attack that strike zone. You see what he did as a reliever, but he's always been a starter throughout the minor leagues, so this is where he wants to be.
And it's quickly 0-2 on Craig Biggio.
You know, he was such a, he talked so much about his mound presence when he came in as a reliever, and just very intense and aggressive. But he's got to back down a little bit as a starter, because he's going to not be out there for 1 inning. He's going to have to go through the order 3 or 4 times.
0-2 pitch. And Tony was talking about that, the fact that a reliever, Al, as you well know, can have 1 or 2 pitches, and you're basically looking at trying to get 2, 3 outs, sometimes just 1 if you're a specialist. And if you're a starter, you got to have 3, 4, and at times 5 pitches to get you through the lineup a couple of times.
Well, that is kind of true by today's standards, and that looked like it got a piece of Molina's bare hand. But you know, there are guys like Bob Gibson who were a 2-pitch pitcher. You know, but today, and if you think about it, you know, he has an exceptional fastball, a terrific and one of the best 12-6 curveballs. Late last season, he started incorporating more and more of the slider, and he also has a changeup, and he'll use all those pitches, and you know, and mix in a cutter on top of it.
Works on the first base side of the rubber. There's that breaking ball. Doesn't get the call.
Remember that year when Bagwell had the
ZZ Top look? Yeah. They actually have a look-alike contest going on here at the ballpark, and they did announce during that ceremony that they will retire number 5 coming up later this season. That was a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, so and it won't be long before Craig Biggio will be joining him, having his number retired, and they're both going to reside in Cooperstown at some point.
Popped up. Molina will throw the mask and makes the play. Around the Horn brought to you by Auto Tire. Duncan is out there in left with Taguchi in center and Preston Wilson in right. Rowland, Eckstein, Kennedy, and Pujols along the infield. Molina, who should have won the Gold Glove last year, is behind the plate. Wainwright, his first career start, 63 appearances.
Not I think Tony, if you ask about his impressions of the starting staff, he has to be very pleased to what he's seen. Adam has just got one out in this game, but you know, Carpenter was unlike Carpenter, but he's you know what Carpenter can do, and he'll be fine. He threw today, and as you reported, should be fine for his start on Tuesday if the report's no ill effects tomorrow. Kip Wells, there's a lot there to be excited about, and Looper, I liked what I saw from Looper, and he can build off of that.
He did not have a man in scoring position, Looper, until the 6th inning.
See a little bit here where Adam, a little gung-ho, he talks about how he only wants to pitch at the bottom of the strike zone, and a lot of his fastballs have been up, just over anxious.
Walked him on 4 straight, so Lamb is aboard, and it brings in Lance Berkman.
That's where you kind of control those emotions a little bit. He said all the right things, but you get out there in the mound and those competitive juices take over. And you can see, you know, Pujols struggling. Look at Berkman. Berkman 1 for 9, but he's not going to worry about it either.
So many people talked about Ryan Howard and Albert Pujols, and rightfully so, as far as the MVP candidates a year ago. But people in Houston will tell you maybe they should have taken a look at this guy. He had a great year with 45 home runs, 136 RBIs, a switch hitter, and all kinds of power.
His RBIs were a franchise record for the Astros. And, you know, and really the switch hitter, as you said, but as much as we talk about Pujols, Houston will say their Pujols is Berkman.
He has dominated the Cardinals over the years with dramatic home runs. He has 26 homers against St. Louis, 91 driven in against the Cardinals in his career.
Adam last year, left-handed batters hit over 300 against him. Boy, where's those pitches?
Very tight strike zone here in the 1st inning.
Yeah, we talked about with Rodriguez, but I'm sure Adam wants a few of those pitches at the top of it.
The Astros a year ago finished 82-80 and almost caught the Cardinals. They finished a game and a half back of St. Louis in the Central. They went 10-2 in their last 12 games.
Oh, what a delayed call there. I know that Molina, I could see that he was, as a professional, talking to Jim Wolf and trying to plead his case, and a delayed call on that strike.
Count even at 2-2. That one is tap foul. So 10-2, Al, in their last 12 games a year ago, and they make up 7 games in the standings in the season's final 12 days. Tough to even talk about it. Well, you know, just starting to cringe.
It was on the verge of being the biggest collapse in Major League history. Bigger than the Phillies' '64 collapse that allowed the Cardinals, but they end up winning the World Championship.
Right. And who knows if the Astros get in what they do with Clemens and Pettit, Oswald. Could be a double play ball. What a play here by Kennedy. That's one, and that's all they're going to get. Terrific job, though, by Adam Kennedy on the backhanded stab, and takes a hit away from Berkman.
That ball was by him when he snared it and was able to get the lead runner out there. Look at there. He's playing in the hole, so he dives for it backwards toward the outfield. He gets it to Eckstein, but with Lamb coming in, very aggressive but very clean, trying to take out the shortstop. No return throw.
$100 million handed out to Carlos Lee to come to Houston. He lives in the state of Texas. Finished up last season with the Rangers. Started that year with Milwaukee.
He's a rancher, and
that's right.
He's got a lot of cattle on that property. I was talking to him about buying more things. He goes, you know what? The nice thing about it is I haven't bought anything. I bought all that stuff with my previous contracts. This one, I'm just sitting there with the money.
0-2. Dave Duncan, pregame show, was saying that the first inning for most pitchers, if not all, is the most difficult. Wainwright a strike away from getting out of it, and Lee It's a towering shot out to right field. That'll stay in the ballpark. And backing up, Preston Wilson, the former Astro, to make the catch near the trap. Adam Kennedy saves a base hit and maybe a big inning. Terrific play from the Cardinals second baseman. In history, brought to you by Schnucks. Back in 1982, a snowstorm causes the postponement of home openers for the Yankees, Tigers, White Sox, Brewers, Indians, Phillies, and Pirates. We could have a repeat of that this upcoming week.
Yeah, White Sox postponed tonight.
Detroit last night. And Chicago yesterday against Cleveland, playing in temperatures that had a wind chill of the teens.
The East Coast is supposed to have snow this weekend.
We'll be in Pittsburgh on Monday afternoon. That'll be their home opener. We'll play one night game in that series. That'll be on Tuesday, and then afternoon baseball on Wednesday. All the games on this road trip here on FSN. Pitch a little low to Scott Rowland. He owns the only home run for St. Louis thus far. 2-1 pitch by Wandy Rodriguez is popped up and out of play. A sold-out crowd tonight here at Minute Maid Park for Jeff Bagwell Appreciation Night. Room into left center for the Cardinal third baseman. And he drills it out to deep left field. Carlos Lee back with room, and he'll make the catch. Carlos Lee trying to figure out how to negotiate the Crawford boxes out there and left. You could see him as he went back real tentative.
Yeah, you go back, he was right at that corner where they jet back, and then it opens up going back to the bullpen. So he was right at that corner.
The boos for Preston Wilson, the former Astro, began last season with Houston, won a World Series championship with the Cardinals.
I think the last laugh was Preston's. He can show all those fans that booed him his hardware from last year.
He said he'll wear his ring out occasionally. Skip Schumacher was saying, I'll wear it everywhere. I don't care if I'm at a 5-star restaurant. I don't care if I go to a fast food place. My ring is on me at all times. Swing and a miss by Preston Wilson, and the second strikeout tonight for Wandy Rodriguez. Hilton St. Louis at the ballpark, the only hotel to give you home field advantage and an experience for Cardinals baseball. Choose from several Cardinals baseball packages that include game tickets, souvenirs, and more. For reservations and information, call 421-1776 or log on to the Cardinals website, stlcardinals.com. Strike at the knees to Molina.
Now we could go into cat daddies. And we could show those that hardware, and we'd be pretty popular, wouldn't we?
We would. I was doing a speaking engagement at the ballpark, and I wasn't wearing the ring. I had it in my pocket. I said I brought a little friend for everybody to meet. When I brought it out, the place was floored. They couldn't believe how nice that ring looked. I did keep a watchful eye on it, believe me. One ball and 2 strikes on Molina. The man of 1,000 stances. Are we going to see that again this year?
Well, we hope he don't. You know, you hope he builds off of what he did in the postseason. He was the most productive hitter for the Cardinals, and after a disappointing regular season, and that's what it was. He wouldn't stay with one at bat or stance.
Chases a ball and strikes out. 3 strikeouts already for Rodriguez. He's through 2. Bottom of the second coming up from Houston.
Grounded.
With us in our Bud Sports crew. Pat Paris is standing by, taking notes and ready to roll with the postgame show coming up a little later. There's Luke Scott off to a good start, hitting .400.
He did that in the first game, and then he hyperextended his elbow sliding into second base. available to pinch hit. So getting him back in the lineup, as Phil Garner realized with these 12 pitchers, his bench was a little bit shallow without this right fielder.
0-1 pitch by Adam Wainwright. Pop fouling out of play again. Well, when you think about Adam Wainwright, you think about his nasty curveball, that 12-6 curveball.
And he really hasn't been able to use that pitch tonight. He's just kind of a little bit strong, and he's been overthrowing it, but eventually that'll be a willed weapon later on in the game.
And what you're saying, sometimes when you have a guy like Wainwright, maybe you get worn down a little bit.
Sure. And that's why, you know, like the first inning, as Dave Duncan was saying, you know, there's a lot of pitchers that, you know, don't know how to, you know, that happy medium, how to warm up for the first inning, because they're trying to leave something in the tank for later on in the game. And I mean, Bob Gibson, so many of the great pitchers that it was always said, if you're going to get them, you got to get them early, because once they get in a groove, then it's over.
2-2 the count on Luke Scott with Chris Burke on deck, and then Adam Everett. Ground ball to Adam Kennedy, who's already made a dazzling play in the first inning, and the first man retired. Adam Wainwright with that great curveball, and I always think when I see great curveballs, I always think of DK, Darryl Kyle. Here we are in Houston, and they have a Darryl Kyle award winner, as do the Cardinals every year. And this year for Houston, it was Brad Ausmus, his teammate for a number of years.
And it's not only what you do on the field, but what you do off the field.
Probably more importantly.
Yeah. DK, as he was a member of that '97 Central Division champions for the Astros.
Threw a no-hitter wearing their uniform. One ball, one strike. A chopper hit foul by Chris Burke. Burke under a little bit of heat only after 3 games. The center fielder now, as he has moved from an infield spot, second base, to play center field, because Biggio still going for 3,000. And when they drafted him, they initially thought, Al, he'd be in the minor leagues a couple of years, and then he was the heir apparent to that spot at second base. But Biggio's still going strong, 20 years deep now. A curveball, and that's pulled foul.
You know, he's a good enough athlete, but this is one of the toughest center fields to play, because it's so vast. And then you have some of those caroms, padded walls out there, but more importantly, Towles Hill. And, you know, he's criticized because he didn't make a play running up Towles Hill, but not many do.
The 2-2 is a foul tip, stays alive. They like his arm. They feel that his arm is going to be just fine out there in center field. And that's what you're talking about, that hill. And that's the hill that Jim Edmonds made one of the best plays we've ever seen out there.
You know, 436 feet away. It's a 30-degree incline, so you're running uphill, trying to catch a ball over your shoulder with your back to the infield. And not a lot are going to make those plays consistently.
Are you a little surprised, because I am, that the hill is still in play, and that there's a pull out there that's in play? When you talk about the amount of money that's in this game for the players, and something like that could get them hurt. A check swing and a strikeout for Adam Wainwright. That's his first of the night. Are you surprised that Players Association hasn't stepped in and said, wait a minute, we
Not
understand
really.
you're trying to be unique and make it entertaining, but
yeah, you know, when I was over in Budapest, they have 2 fields in the country, and one of them has a padded light standard out in right and one in center field shining on the soccer field. But so if it's good enough for Hungary, it's good enough for Houston.
with all due respect, Al, it's from Budapest to the major leagues, you know.
Well, you know, I mean, you try to emulate. You know.
What a great trip you had, though, huh?
Ah, yeah.
Here's Adam Everett, the shortstop, very good defensive player.
Named me Admiral of the Hungarian Navy. It's now a Navy of 1.
It's outstanding, Al. Broken bat right back to Adam Wainwright. And that's his first 1-2-3 inning. We have played 2, no score between Houston and St. Louis.
Your one is, it's just, it's just special. It's just been a long time. I mean, 15 years playing in the same organization, all the things that we've been through. I had 3 different uniforms, from what we wore in '91 to '98 to 2005. It's been a long journey, but it certainly has been a great time.
And how many shoulder surgeries trying to get that thing healed, because you could have played a few more years if you didn't have the shoulder problem.
Yeah, for sure. It wasn't that I couldn't hit a fastball or I couldn't hit a breaking ball. I just physically couldn't do it. And, it was tough, but I think in one sense it's actually helped me. It's helped me, move from the game because I just physically can't do it. So I'm okay with that.
And what's it going to be like when you sit there and help welcome your buddy Biggio?
I'm certainly going to have a lot easier time at that than having to talk to myself. It'll be a lot easier to talk about somebody than have to talk about myself.
Dan, you know how much respect I have for this man right here and also Craig Biggio, but these guys were tremendous and they're Hall of Fame caliber players, but I mean, you represented Major League Baseball off the field better than any.
Well, I appreciate that. We try. A lot of times it doesn't quite work out how you want to sometimes, but I think both of us have put a lot of time and effort into trying to make sure that we were going to be Houston Astros for our entire career. That being said, you also have to have some loyalty from your organization. They got it done for us, and it's been a nice marriage between Craig and I and the Astros, and we're proud of that fact.
It's a base hit there by So Taguchi. As you well know, St. Louis considered one of the best baseball towns in America. What would you say to our fans at home that are watching the game tonight as far as going up against the Cardinals and playing at the old Busch Stadium and just seeing the fans' reaction, even to guys like yourself, the opposing players?
Well, there's no question. I was downstairs doing an interview afterwards, and I wish I had more time to talk about the Cardinals. There's nobody that I've respected more in the last 15 years than the St. Louis Cardinals. Their organization, their management, you guys, it's been great. I mean, this is our biggest rivalry against the Cardinals, but it's a great rivalry. It's respect, and I truly, I wish I was playing tonight bad. When you see the Cardinals out there, I'm like, I need to be playing.
But isn't that amazing, though, is you can't say anything bad against the Cardinals or Astros. There's just class organizations, and it's you, the players.
It is, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention their fans, too. The Cardinal fans are special. Any fan that cheers for the opposing team when they make a nice play or something like that, that's class, and that's what the St. Louis Cardinals are all about. And I look at it as an honor that I had the opportunity to do battle against the Cardinals for that long.
What is next for you? Would you like to stay in baseball some way, somehow?
Well, I am officially the special assistant to Tim Perper, but there's like 10 of them, so I'm just one of them. So I get to sit over there and die every single night because I can't do anything and watch these guys and feel for them and know what they're going through. But I'm going to do that. I'm going to spend a lot of time in the minor leagues, seeing the young kids there, giving my assessment of where they need to be, and because I think that's important. Being a former player, that I can see certain things that maybe other people can't. And not only that, I can give them my experiences. We had a camp here, and I was kind of out sitting there going, this is what I thought. And they're like, no way you thought that. I'm like, I swear to you, I thought like that. And I think it helps them. So I enjoy that part.
And you definitely wouldn't teach any hitter to emulate your stance.
Never. That'd be the first guy I'd release. Because nobody wants to do that for their entire career.
Adam Kennedy is at the plate. Count of 1 ball and 2 strikes. And our guest is Jeff Bagwell. How did you hit like that? How did you learn that? And how did you keep that throughout the years?
Well, I was always a little unorthodox as I grew up and hit and all that. But what happened was, I think it was 94, beginning of 94, I was always kind of changing my stance. And Tony Gwynn came to me when we were playing San Diego. And he says, why don't you just keep the same stance? I'm like, all right. Actually signed it back to Jeff, keep the same stance, Tony Gwynn. So I was like, all right, this is the greatest hitter we have in the game right now. Let's try that. So I said, you know what, Tony kind of spread out a little bit, bends his knees. Let me try that. Well, then I ended up with what I had, and I have no idea how.
and 94 was a pretty good year for you.
It was a pretty good year.
MVP of the National League.
Pretty good year.
I wanted to talk about what you do off the field and your charity work, because now I'm going to invite you to my golf tournament.
Well, good. I'm not busy.
And so,
way to make this about you, Al.
I'll tell you about that later. But I mean, this game is so great, and here we got 2 young pitchers out here dealing. People were down on pitching for a while, but it's maybe they don't know how to pitch.
Yeah, that's part of it. You know, experience. Just being out there, being in certain situations that they haven't been in before in a big league uniform. It's a different deal. It's very far and few that you come along with Felix Hernandez, the guy from Seattle, the 19-year-old kid just blowing people away. You don't find that. You have to find pitchers. And if you look at your team last year, that's what you guys had. You guys had pitchers.
How about the pitcher here? This is Adam Wainwright out to deep center field. That ball is going to get down, hop to the wall, and the Cardinals are going to take the lead on an RBI double from the pitcher, Adam Wainwright.
I got to go, guys.
Your bad luck is what you're telling me. Already. Final question before we let you go.
I'm kidding.
Cooperstown, and that's a lot of what is being talked about now when you hear about Biggio and Bagwell. But you didn't get to 500 home runs. And everybody says, okay, if a guy gets to 500, automatically in. You're right there. You had over 200 stolen bases, 1,500 RBIs. Have you given it much thought? Is it in the back of your mind?
You know, I've thought about it just because when you retire, you can't help it. Everybody kind of throwing out numbers and all those kind of things. You know, the only thing I always said about my career, I gave it every single thing I could. I think my teammates could count on me. You know, I drove in runs, I scored runs, you know, and that's not up for me to decide anymore. I think what I leave and what's important to me is I think that most every single person that came through that clubhouse enjoyed being my teammate.
Sure.
And that's good enough for me.
Won a Gold Glove, Rookie of the Year, MVP. There's only 3 players that have over 400 home runs and 200 stolen bases, and you're the only one that's a first baseman. You know, you did everything, but, you know, over 1,500 RBIs. That tells me right there. And as you said, you would have gotten to 500 if the shoulder would have held up. You're a Hall of Famer.
Well, I appreciate that, but it means a lot coming from you. Thank you.
Here's an 0-2 pitch to David Eckstein, and he hits it out of play and foul. A lot of talk, and here you are, a guy now that's a special assistant to Tim Perpera, the general manager here at Houston. A lot of talk about what's going on in center field. How about Chris Burke making that transition? You saw with Biggio, your buddy, doing that from second base, really catcher second to outfield. But how about for him? How tough is this going to be in this spacious outfield?
Well, that's the key right there. A lot of people don't understand. They think of Minute Maid Park, oh, there's home runs all over the place. But if you go from that corner over there to the corner of the bullpen, it's a big center field. And it's tough for a kid for the first time to go out there and try and play center field.
And you know, one of the things he's got to do is not put too much pressure on himself. That ball with the pitcher hitting,
exactly.
You know, that you don't expect him to make that play. He has good speed. He gets back there. It's beyond his reach. You give the pitcher the credit, the hitter the credit.
For sure. I mean, Jimmy would have had a tough time catching that ball.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, I might take my chances with him just because of all his experience and all that. But, you know, this is a different. When you play here in April, the wind and everything is so much different than it is when we get to June. The wind kind of swirls out there in that area. And, you know, like you say, that's a tough play when you got the pitcher up, you're playing in a little bit, and you have to go back on a ball like that.
Now, since you are management, I'm going to put you on the spot now. Everybody's talking about Roger Clemens, where he may wind up. Obviously, everybody in baseball has an interest in what the Rocket may do. What's your gut feeling?
Well, my gut feeling, he's going to pitch. I just don't know who he's going to pitch for.
Houston.
I mean, I think it's a win-win situation for him. He gets to spend time at the house, to see his kids play.
Good play made there by Luke Scout. And Wainwright, the pitcher, with the presence of mind to make sure and tag up and head to third.
Yeah, he's going to get a chance to stay at home. It takes him 20 minutes to get to the ballpark. He can come and go as he pleases, and I think that's a nice perk for him. You know, the Yankees and the Red Sox obviously are an attractive offer for him. And, you know, and Rock's going to do whatever Rock wants to do. I just hope that we're playing well at the time. He sees a good offensive club and a chance to win again and get to the postseason with the Astros, because there'll be no greater hero in Houston than if we can get to another World Series with Rocket pitching.
Is that your favorite memory, playing World Series, getting this organization to finally get into the Fall Classic?
That was a big time for me. You know, it was a little tough for me because I wasn't playing every day, so it was a little different. It was the most proud I've been for our city to have the opportunity to experience a World Series, although it, you know, yet being just 4 games and 2 games here, it was a great series, and, you know, we didn't come out on the right end, but I was proud of the city. I was proud of the organization to finally get there.
Here is Chris Duncan with Albert Pujols on deck. We talk about great young power hitters, and I guess he's not young anymore, but what are your thoughts on number 5 there on deck?
Well, number 5 on deck, if he continues to stay healthy, might become the greatest hitter of all time. Albert has no flaws. You know, he covers every pitch. He's a tremendous player as a hitter, as a defender. He won a Gold Glove last year. He loves the game. He brings a lot of enthusiasm to him. But I watch his mechanics. I just don't see any flaws. So that means he's never going to go into a long slump. And you know, this game has never seen a young hitter as great as Albert has been. I mean, you just look it up. It's the way it is.
Practices, the way he handles himself.
How about this one? Smoked out to right center field, and Chris Duncan has gone deep over the bullpen. And Duncan picks up his first home run of 2007, and it's 3-0 Cardinals as Duncan does it against the lefty. Now, if you have to go, we understand.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Chris Duncan, you know, he's still going to have some problems against left-handers. They're going to fool him. But if they make a mistake, this is why he's in the lineup against a lefty. And there's a fastball that out over his wheelhouse. He gets his arms extended, and there was no doubt when he made contact.
Yeah, he's got tremendous power. I'm excited for Dunk that he has an opportunity to watch his son play. I think that's tremendous. And
Mom's here today too.
That's terrific. I can only imagine the excitement.
Slowly hit to third. Pujols retired, and we are done in the top of the third. Jeff Bagwell, your next stop is Cooperstown, and we can't thank you enough for stopping by here.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me.
And congratulations on your number being retired as well. That was announced tonight. Cardinals lead it 3-0 midway through the third. What a class act, as Jeff Bagwell was kind enough to stop on by. The first lead of the year thanks to Adam Wainwright and Chris Duncan. Wainwright with the RBI double. And that drove in Sotaguchi, who had singled to start the inning, and then the two-run homer by Duncan. Boy, it's nice to see a little offense.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, Adam Wainwright goes out there and shuts out the opposition for a couple innings. Then he gets an opportunity to drive in a run, but isn't it amazing how everything settles in?
Chance here for Scott Rowland, and he gets Brad Ausmus by step. It was good to see Duncan not only go deep, Al, but he does it against a left-handed pitcher too.
Well, that's right. I mean, he hit a couple of them. I think of his 22 home runs last year, 20 of them were against right-handers. But he will get more opportunities. The more he faces left-handed pitchers, the more he'll walk into some mistakes. So, you know, they'll still fool him on occasion. But the one thing, if you need to have run production, you know, he can hit those mistakes and give you and put runs on the board.
So the Cardinal left fielder Chris Duncan, his two-run homer, the RBI by Wainwright. 3-0 Cardinals here in the bottom of the third. And Wainwright, you might remember his first ever hit, first ever swing in the major leagues, a home run at San Francisco.
He was only the third pitcher in Major League history to hit a home run in his first plate appearance and also win the game.
Right. Good curveball. 12-6, and strikeout number 2 for Wainwright. Tuesday, May 22nd, the Cardinals face the Pirates. It's Belleville Community Night. The Greater Belleville, Illinois Chamber of Commerce will host a pregame business expo for its chamber members, Belleville area residents, or businesses interested in purchasing tickets. And call this number, 618-233-2015, extension 13. And here is Bagwell's buddy, Mr. Biggio.
It'll be really strange to come here at some point, and neither one of them are in the lineup or on the active roster.
Ground ball back to Wainwright, and Biggio retired. He's 0 for 2. When we come back, we'll hope to have a visit with the general manager, Walt Jocketty, with Jim Hayes. That's coming up next. 3-zip St. Louis.
To be joined by Walt Jocketty, the Cardinal GM. And Walt, a slow start for the Cardinals. You have to be happy that the bats have come alive.
Well, yeah, finally, Jim, you know, it's a slow start and a lot of, I don't know, there might have been a lot of distraction with that homestand, but it was, you know, it was something that was fun to kind of experience the unveiling of the trophy and the flag and World Series flag and everything, and getting the rings. but might have been a little bit of distraction. Now we get down the road, and guys are definitely focused on purely baseball.
I know you anguish over everything that doesn't go right for the Cardinals, but putting it in context, it's a long season. Were you anguishing over the 0-3 start?
Not really. I mean, it's we've obviously done it before, and have come back and ended up okay. It just you know, the Astros are also a very good club, and they got off to an 0-3 start at home as well. So you know, just you know, you hope to get off to a good start. That's very important. But if you don't, it's not the end of the world. It is a long season. You just have to be patient.
Chris Carpenter is expected to go on Tuesday. Chris said he felt very good today. They'll know more tomorrow as Roland pops out to the catcher. But talking to Tony La Russa, he says you guys are going to be very cautious and very patient and not rush anything with Chris.
Well, I think that's the smart thing to do. You know, it is early in the season, and I know Chris is anxious to get back out and start again. But he played catch today, and that was the plan, to have him play catch today. He felt fine afterwards. He'll throw his side tomorrow. If he feels good after that and feels good again on Sunday, then we'll probably let him go ahead and start on Tuesday.
The last thing you want in this world is me in your booth, so thank you for letting me come in for the short time.
It's my pleasure, Jim.
All right, let's send it over to Dan and Al.
All right, Jim, good job, and our thanks to General Manager Walt Jocketty. 1 ball, 1 strike on Preston Wilson. Last time the Cardinals were 0-4 was back in 1997. And they have had 0-3 starts, Al, and had great years after those first 3 games. It is a long, long season.
Very long.
2-1 pitch. And Wilson hits it to the second baseman, Biggio. It looks like Wandy Rodriguez has settled down here in the top of the 4th. After giving up 3 runs in the 3rd. Cardinal fans on Friday, April 13th, the first 25,000 fans ages 21 and over receive a wall calendar highlighting the 2006 World Championship. And this year's calendar is courtesy of Busch, Budweiser, and Bud Light brands. For tickets, log on to stlcardinals.com and click on the Prime C Club. And really, the Prime C Club is the best way to do it all season long. Full foul off the bat of Molina, who's hitting 182. So again, that is Anheuser-Busch calendar night on Friday, April 13th. Busch, Budweiser, Bud Light. Check it out at stlcardinals.com. Molina hits it out to right. Luke Scott with room and makes the play. 1-2-3 inning for Rodriguez. Bottom of the 4th rolls in when we come back. Hey, boss. Adam Wainwright is on a roll tonight, presented by Kawasaki. No earned runs dating back to last season. In his last 13 2/3, he's been pretty good tonight.
He's been outstanding, but think about this. He gives the Cardinals their first lead of this season with that double scoring Taguchi. Cardinals never led in the game in the first series against the Mets, and they have a 3-0 lead now.
A swing and a miss by Mike Lamb. 2, 3, and 4 in the order against Adam Wainwright. And to me, Al, this is where it gets a little interesting. Second time around for Adam. And the heart of the order for Houston.
Well, like we said, you know, he threw a changeup there. It had that Lamb way out front. Then a good fastball in the inner part of the plate. But Adam, you know, has been groomed as a starter all through the minor leagues. And in fact, last year was the only time he ever was a reliever. And that's the old-fashioned way. Bring a young kid up, you put him in the bullpen for a year plus, give him some confidence. And boy, he got some last year.
Sure did. He was dominant in that closer's role. And when you talk to any of the young pitchers, they always point to Jason Isringhausen as being a factor as to why they had success in postseason play, namely Wainwright and Tyler Johnson. It's amazing how many guys, when you visit with them, Al, about last year, they say, you know, Izzy could have been a guy that wasn't around, wasn't visible, wasn't at the ballpark all that much. And that's the second walk handed out by Wainwright to Mike Lamb. And they always say that Izzy was there to kind of help guys and walk them through situations. And Adam Wainwright was first on that list.
And that's you know, Izzy be the first one to tell you that, you know, guys have done that for him, so you want to give something back. You know, sometimes a young player has a bad experience with a veteran guy, and they know what they end up thinking of that person, so they, you know, they don't want anybody thinking that way, so they go out of their way to impart the knowledge they learned.
Lance Berkman with 6 consecutive 30 double seasons and 1 home run away from becoming the second player to hit 100 at this ballpark. The other, Jeff Bagwell. Downward action on that pitch.
His changeup's been outstanding tonight. You know, and it's a pitch that he's had, but as a late innings guy, he used very, very rarely. And late last season, he developed a slider to help him out too.
Ground ball, base hit. Kennedy was playing over towards the line. What looked to be a tailor-made double play ball. Instead, it's a single for Lance Berkman. And remember, last time he was up, it was Kennedy that made that great play on him.
Well, that's sometimes we get a little too much with a shift on left-handed batters. Remember, Adam is more of a power guy too. So, you know, maybe he's not going to pull his pitches as much as he would somebody else. But as you said, if he, you know, was playing at normal depth, that might have been turned into 2.
Here's Carlos Lee. Nobody out, and the pitch is fouled back off the bat of Lee.
Go back to the base hit up the middle. You see Adam Kennedy as he's cheating towards the first base bag, so the ball just hit up the middle. That just accentuated that it was going to get by him.
And Lee hits it out to center. This will get the Astros on the board as Lamb will tag up and score. RBI for Carlos Lee, his 3rd, and it's 3-1.
Well, you jinxed him with the scoreless streak.
I did it. Blame it on me.
But you also mentioned that, you know, here Adam's going to have to go through the order a second time and hopefully a 3rd, possibly 4th.
Here's Luke Scott. Now, Luke Scott was acquired by Houston along with Willie Taveras, who is now in Colorado. Was in a deal with Cleveland back in 2004. Jeremy Robertson was part of that deal. And Taveras is now the center fielder with the Rockies. Hard hit. Oh, goodness. A rocket at Kennedy. Took a nasty hop and into right field. Almost took his head off.
I was talking with Aaron Miles about the infield here, and he said he likes it a lot. It's very true. Eckstein did say it bounces a little bit, but this one hits right at the edge of the grass, and, you know, Kennedy was in perfect position until that ball almost took his head off.
Runners at first and second. 1 out. And here is Burke, who struck out his first time up.
Time being called, and Molina wanted to go through this series of signs one more time.
2 hits for the Astros tonight, both in this inning. First and second, 1 out. Breaking ball and a strike.
But, you know, it's still a scoreless game if you don't walk the leadoff man.
Right. He has 2 walks tonight, and he struck out 2.
Start out Burke with the curveball.
You mentioned it, Al, how Burke has really been beating himself up already. And it's just very early into the season, and so many times a player will carry over the offense to the defense, or in his case, maybe defense to offense.
And the one thing you've got to do is you can't you know, you've got to be your own biggest critic, and you can't listen to people that are criticizing that you don't make the play like tonight or another play that's up on Tal's Hill. You know, the gifted and the best outfielders aren't going to make those consistently.
Well, I thought you made a good point. I mean, it's Adam Wainwright at the plate too, and he's playing shallow. And Wainwright smoked that ball out to center, and a long way to go. He's obviously a very good athlete, but he's been moved from the infield to the outfield. In the hole here, 0-2. Another late strike call, but Wainwright will take it. His third strikeout tonight. Boy, that was delayed. Sunday night, the world's best players will once again gather to finally answer the question, who is the greatest poker player in the world? Find out on the Poker Superstars 3, Sunday at 8, only here on FSN Midwest. Not a big fan of those delayed strike calls. I'm sure you're not either.
In fairness, we don't know if he's verbally telling the batter, you know, calling the pitch, and then his arm action is delayed. And I've had some guys yell out there strike 3, and then they kind of do it with a flare with the hand signals.
Check swing. Wainwright pops off the mound, and they just get Adam Everett. So the Astros get on the board, but they strand 2. 5th inning coming up. It's 3-1.
Now, speed of this game. The other day I used a hockey analogy.
Which was?
Oh, you know, you get down the corner and you see the speed of the man on the ice. Can't believe it. Separates the men from the boards.
How many hockey games did you go to this year? Taguchi pops
2.
out. 2?
I think so.
Was that 2 more than last year?
No. I was incapacitated for a while.
Really?
With surgery.
Well, I know it was 2 more than the year before that, because they didn't play that year. Unless you're over in Europe. Adam Kennedy. Although you could have seen some minor league games. Kennedy struck out. First time up. The scouting report on Rodriguez was a good curveball. It's a little natural cut against right-handed batters. But they say he has a tendency to get the ball up, and Kennedy gets one up and chased it. They wanted it there, and it's a pop out to the shortstop. And the final mark on that scouting report, one that Rodriguez does not want to hear, is that he has a tendency to have one bad inning.
Yeah, a lot of guys will do that. Pitch pretty tight ball game, and then all of a sudden they'll have one inning where they kind of lose their concentration, and after they give up the lead, they pitch well again. Sneaky fast, and at times can get a little bit wild, but that hadn't been the case tonight.
Strike on the outside corner to Adam Wainwright, and he doubled and picked up an RBI his first time up. Chops one foul. Considered one of the better golfers on the team, Adam Wainwright, and pretty good swing at the plate.
Well, it gives you an idea. He's just a good all-around athlete. Fields his position well.
Curveball and popped up. Foul territory. Lance Berkman is over and makes the catch. Rodriguez has set down 7 straight since the Duncan home run. Sports crew as well is here. Their first road game of the season. What a year it was for this man, Adam Wainwright. A season ago, he made the club out of spring. And 6 months later, he had clinched the 17th National League pennant in the history of the Cardinals. 5 games later, he's on the mound to close out the World Series with electrifying stuff.
Dan, I'm not sure if you remember, but it seemed like when he went to spring training last season, he just matured, and he just sat there and was determined that he was going to be a big leaguer. And he saw a lot of the guys that he originally signed with the Atlanta Braves were now playing in the big leagues, and he was at AAA, and I think he made the mental determination that he had turned the corner, and he was a big leaguer, and then he proved it.
Well, I do remember it because I asked Tony about it today, and I said, what was the difference that you saw in Adam Wainwright? He said, physically, we didn't see a difference. His stuff was always there, but like you're saying, he just took charge. He looked like a different guy. The mentality that he had from the previous year wasn't there. Trust your stuff was a common phrase that you would hear from Wainwright, and he just was a different pitcher.
He just believed in himself, and sometimes your back's up against the wall, and then are you a fighter, or are you going to surrender? And he decided he was going to fight for that big league job. And it goes to say, where a lot of guys in the minor leagues, it's not that they throw any harder than guys in big leagues or any less. It's just they're more consistent, but a lot of it has to do with the mental approach.
And you might remember he did have a brief appearance with the Cardinals in 2005, as now the tying run will come to the plate, but it's the pitcher spot that's due up here after the walk to Osmus. So he walks the number 8 man in this lineup, and the third walk issued by Wainwright.
Rightfully so. Molina goes out there trying to settle him down a little bit. The one thing that Molina told me about Looper, and he said, here's a guy coming from making his first major league start after 572 relief appearances. He said he couldn't believe how calm he is. And so, with Adam, getting a little excited, calm him down.
Rodriguez will get the bunt down. It's a good one. The throw, though, by Roland to second, and they get the lead man. I know we say it time and again, but just how good is number 27?
Well, he's charging aggressively, then he gets the ball, and his difference with Scott Rowland, he's as athletic as a shortstop, but a 6'4", 240-pound frame, and his throwing arm is the difference maker. They're an off-balance throw. He gets it to his shortstop, covering the bag, get the lead man, and then make it close at first base.
I'm sure you're going to agree with this, but when people talk about the Cardinals and they ask me, why do you think this team wins year in and year out? And it's obvious. You got a guy like Pujols, and you've got a guy like Edmonds or Roland that can do things offensively, but look at how well the Cardinals field the baseball, how well they field their positions. And that's a base hit by Biggio, inching closer to 3,000. Now 65 away. But I think, Al, when you look at the Cardinals up the middle, Molina could be a Gold Glover. You know what you got in Edmonds, close to 10 of them. Up at shortstop, it's been really, really good with Renteria and Eckstein. Over at third base, another guy that wins Gold Glove after Gold Glove, and that's Roland. Pujols picks up his first. I mean, this team defensively is as good as anybody.
Well, that's why as a pitcher, you got to take, put the ball in play. And there you see the career hits for Biggio, 65 away from being the 27th man to get 3,000.
There's Pujols, Eckstein, Wainwright there, got him, double play. 3-6-1 on the double play, and the Cardinals are out of trouble.
The 3-6-1, but you talk about this pitching staff, and we actually have more of a power starting staff now than we did a year ago as the world champions. But Tony will tell you, because of that good core defense, that if you just don't walk people, you keep the ball in the ballpark, make your defense be active, and you'll win a lot of ball games, especially if you're a ground ball pitcher.
Back at it again tomorrow night here in game 2 of this 3-game set, the Cardinals and the Astros. Anthony Reyes makes his first start of the season against Roy Oswalt, and we'll come your way with our pregame show at 5:30 with Jim Hayes. We'll have Sunday's game as well. Kip Wells and Jason Jennings will go in Sunday afternoon's ball game.
It's a pair of Baylor teammates.
That's right. Jennings part of that deal that was pulled off with Taveras going to Colorado and Jennings coming to Houston, and you wonder if Rodriguez hurt himself warming up.
Osmus might have spotted something, went out and talked to his young lefty. Must have said no.
They say sometimes he does not carry himself well on the mound. Body language.
Body language, and that's a big thing because it's such a negative thing that your fielders behind you kind of sense it. You know, like, well, you're upset with them, whether they don't score enough runs for it. And a lot of his wins have come because he's gotten a ton of run support. He's never defeated the Cardinals. He's 0-3 and has an ERA over 11.
1-1 pitch to David Eckstein. At the knees and a strike. Rodriguez has not won since beating Texas back on July 2nd. And the beginning of this drought was a 5-inning start against the Cardinals. He had 4 runs and 7 hits. You might remember that game back on July 7th. 8-2 loss for Rodriguez in Houston.
Not too sure he didn't have 9 wins at the All-Star break last year.
He pitched very well in the first half. At the knees, little inside. Houston, by the way, has blown late leads in their first 2 games of this season against Pittsburgh. One of those was Brad Lidge, and he is a hot topic here in Houston. What to do with that closer spot?
Dan Wheeler was just, you know, a lights-out setup man. He's got off to a slow start, so you can look at the Cardinals the way they lost. But I don't know if it's more devastating to have those 8th-inning leads with a solid bullpen in the past and lose those games.
Here's a 2-2 pitch. You buy into the idea that the closer is shook up from 1 home run, and that home run being Albert Pujols?
I'd like to think that in order to have the success that Brad Lidge has had in the past, he would be able to overcome that home run. But you know, there was a home run that became very deadly to Donnie Moore.
Yep.
Not only did he shoot his wife, but you know, end up killing himself. You know.
Dave Henderson. Grounder hit to short. Everett. Eckstein tonight 0 for 3. Now, a lot of people believe that the problem, though, lies within the World Baseball Classic, that he may have rushed himself after the World Series to get ready for that. Then his mechanics were out of whack, got off to a bad start, and really never got back to the form that he had in the previous year.
The Classic last year, and they will make some adjustments to it, but it affected a lot of pitchers. I'm sure Rincon, you know, his surgeries were a result of that.
Here's the 0-1 to Duncan. Breaking ball upstairs. Chris Duncan with his first home run of the season, carrying over from a very good spring. Average at 400.
You see, if they can throw the good breaking balls and don't hang one, you know, Chris is going to, you know, struggle against that. But don't expand the strike zone. And then if he gets a shot at a fastball, be ready for it.
On deck, Pujols, who is 0 for 2 and now 0 for 8 against Rodriguez. That's a bit surprising. Count even, 2 balls, 2 strikes, and Duncan wants time. This time last year, Chris Duncan was just trying to get at bats in the minor leagues. Now he's counted on as a vital part of this offense and this team.
Trying to sneak that fastball by him, but now he runs, he count 3-1. Saying 3 run on the scoreboard. Ours is 3-2. I thought it was 3-2 too.
And Duncan hits it fair. And that's down into the corner. Duncan can run for a big man. And now he's thinking 3. Relay to third. And Duncan is out. He had a slight hesitation at second base, ever so slight, and that might have been just enough with the relay to get him at third base.
Old baseball adage, don't make the first out at third base. They're already in scoring position for Albert Pujols, and so now it's 2 outs. Pulls that ball right down the first base line, down into the corner, and the relay throw from Everett, perfect right there to apply the tag as he slides headfirst into the glove.
Initially, I thought Duncan was going to stay at second base,
I did
especially
too.
with Albert on deck.
And we wish he would have.
Yep.
Took a perfect throw. See, he just gets it right there, right down there, and he slides right into the glove.
Good job by Lamb to block the bag as well. As Pujols breaks his bat off the end of the bat, and Albert is retired. And Pujols struggling here in the early goings. He's 0 for 3 tonight. 3-1 St. Louis. Well, Cleveland Cardinals post-game coverage coming up following the game. It's Cardinals Live after every game here on FSN Midwest. Al Brabowski, Dan McLaughlin, Tom Mee, our director tonight. Mike Helling, our producer. Doug Stanton in the truck. Brian McCann as well, our Bud Sports crew. Brian McCann became a new dad, as well as Adam Wainwright. Congratulations to Brian and his wife. And Adam has a brand new daughter, Bailey Grace. Hit hard to Pujols. He'll take it himself. And Berkman is retired, 1 for 3 tonight. Aflac trivia question time. Who are the 2 league MVPs selected in the 1989 draft?
Take a wild guess and say Jeff Bagwell being one.
Got to be one, right? Bagwell's night. Carlos Lee has an RBI. It's it hard to Eckstein on one hop. Long throw high, but Pujols is there. 2 outs. The guys in the truck say you've had enough time. So here's your answer in the Aflac trivia question. Bagwell and Mo Vaughn.
How about that? Both of them.
Vaughn. What has happened to Mo Vaughn after that vaunted infield? He was
mowed on.
Yeah, he has mowed on, is right.
And, you know, Bagwell was in the Boston organization.
Mo Vaughn was.
He had a guy named Scott Cooper. Was playing at AAA at third base. And then you had Jeff was at AA, third baseman. Traded for Larry Anderson. One of the worst trades they ever made. And Bagwell came over here and turned him into a first baseman and a Hall of Famer.
When we last saw Mo Vaughn, he was part of that infield that had Alomar, Mo Vaughn. Who was the slick fielding shortstop? I could picture him. Ordonez. I'm trying to think who the third baseman was. Finished up with San Francisco.
Go ahead.
I'm thinking. I can't remember. I could picture him. Edgardo Alfonso.
I was going to say that, but
here's the 0-2.
A couple fastballs inside just kind of make that hitter a little bit uncomfortable.
By the way, when I think of San Francisco, I think of Mike Matheny.
Yeah.
By all accounts, Mike is feeling much better these days, which is great news. Officially retired. There's a nasty breaking ball and a strikeout for Adam Wainwright. Wainwright with number 4 tonight, and he is through 6. Cardinals up by 2.
I was talking to my
Wainwright is through 6, top of the 7th.
The fastball inside kind of gets that hitter a little defensive, not going to reach out over the plate. And Adam Wainwright has followed the other 3 Cardinal starters. They've all gone at least 6 innings.
There's Scott Rowland. And returning for the 6th season, it's the Hyundai long drive inning. Your chance to win a 2007 Hyundai Sonata begins April 23rd at your St. Louis area Hyundai dealers.
Joe Buck the other day gave that announcement, and Scott Rowland hit his first home run of the year. First Cardinal home run.
Joe has been a little good luck for one inning. The other innings he struggled. And Jeff Bagwell has brought good luck to us.
Yeah.
And Joe has got a great matchup tomorrow in the Fox Saturday game of the week.
Lavin and
begins,
Smoltz.
yeah, that begins on the first weekend now of the regular season. Lavin and Smoltz. 2-2 the count on Scott Rowland. Rowland, Preston Wilson, and Yadier Molina. As Rodriguez has pitched here into the 7th inning. 2-2 pitch to Rowland. And a swing and a miss. Rodriguez has struck out 5, and the only problem, any bump in the road that he has had was back in that 3rd inning. That's it. Other than that, he's been pretty good.
Yeah, Cardinals got all 3 runs on 3 hits, and 3 of their 4 hit. See Tom Mays in midseason form with his predictions.
Down in the truck and in our ear. Preston Wilson grounds to first. Nice play by Berkman. Better lead to Rodriguez. 2 down here in the top of the 7th. The Cardinals have tickets remaining for the upcoming homestand against the Brewers and Pirates. So if you're thinking about coming down, this is what we've got. April 13th, which is a Friday night. Milwaukee, over 1,100 tickets remain, including box seats. Box seats still remaining for the Saturday game. 1,200 tickets remaining for the Sunday game. Then Monday and Tuesday, tickets are available, including those box seats, on the 16th and 17th against Pittsburgh. Monday is a 7:10 game. Tuesday, 12:10 game. STLCardinals.com to purchase your tickets. Or the Prime Seat Club as well. Center field, and it's time to stretch as Molina is 0 for 3. 3-1 Cardinals.
The Roos is happy his team has a 3-1 lead, and our Geico quote of the day: we're capable of much better. So La Russa on the Cardinals, and you know, he not see any offense in the first series against the Mets. A little bit more here tonight. Adam Wainwright pitching a gem of a game, but he got the scoring started with a double, and then Chris Duncan hit a 2-run home run to account for the Cardinals' 3 runs. And the first Cardinal starter to pitch in the 7th inning is Adam Wainwright.
It'll be Burke, Everett, and Ausmus for Houston. Cardinals on top by a couple of runs. Happy birthday to Drew Horton. Turned 17 today. Ricky Horton's son. Ricky is working on the radio side tonight. Mike Shannon is on assignment.
We're talking about Mike Matheny and how he's feeling better. Ricky and I were talking about Mike, and he just told me that he's so relaxed and feeling much better, and boy, there's no better guy that we all pull for.
He was a guy that when he was playing, he was just so intense.
You know what? The catcher feels so much responsibility of taking care of his pitching staff. And that's where a lot of times Tony will say, you know, whatever Molina gives me offensively, it's fine, because he works so well with the pitchers.
2-2 is full fair. Past Rowland, down into the corner. Burke with a leadoff double. Tying run will come to the plate.
On a ground ball, it just happened to be right over the bag, beyond the reach of Scott Rowland. He had no chance on it, and then it hugs the corner, so Duncan has to go in and bail it out. Got the 7, 8, and 9 coming up, so even though the man's in scoring position, you really bow your neck and make sure that run doesn't score.
See the bullpen now starting to scurry for the Cardinals. Here's Everett 0 for 2, a pair of groundouts tonight.
Pitch count up to 88.
Everett has always been one of the top sacrifice men. Terrific bunter. And Roland was even with the bag there at third. And not right there, almost bunt for a hit.
Well, or bunting for a hit, and at the very least, you get that man from second to third with only one out. Everett's had a lot of big hits and RBIs against the Cardinals.
0-2, reaching for the breaking ball. Talked about how Wainwright now stretched out as a starter. As a reliever, could come in and just blow it out for those 2 or 3 outs that he had to get. But here he's extended into the 7th inning.
Astros have their bullpen active in case they pinch hit for the pitcher.
Here's the 0-2. Little high. Right-hander and a left-hander getting loose. That's Randy Flores and Ryan Franklin. Reaching for it, popped it up, shallow right field. Kennedy going out, no one's there. Drops in for a hit.
Get it in, Preston.
And the first 2 have reached against Wainwright here in the 7th.
Double that right over the third base bag, and now one to the Bermuda Triangle. Nobody there, but Preston Wilson, the outfielder, could have been a little more aggressive coming in on that ball. Even if it got by Preston, you still got the second baseman, first baseman, but much easier for Preston to come in, charge hard on that ball, and have the play in front of him than a couple infielders going back on it.
Osmus here, and then the pitcher spot is due up.
Well, that pitcher's not going to hit unless they get the lead.
And they've got Palmeiro, the only pinch hitter that hits from the left side.
Miller and Rick White, former Cardinal, warming up for the Astros.
And Miller is the only lefty in their bullpen. This big crowd on this Friday night now comes alive here in Houston. Osmus only hitting 167. Beginning of last season was off on a torrid pace and did not finish strong at the plate, but he did win his 3rd Gold Glove. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 7th. Osmus, a guy that grounds into a bunch of double plays, usually among the league leaders.
Squeeze play.
Squeeze is down. Wainwright bare hands, and they got him. What a double play! An unbelievable double play turned by the Cardinals.
I'll tell you what, give Adam Wainwright all the credit. They teach you when you come off the mound and a squeeze play like that to bare hand the ball and just flip it to your catcher. Remember how tall and big that Wainwright is, so he's got to bend over a long way. There's a little slider right there. Come in, you barehand it, stiff forearm, you flip it to your catcher, and Molina gets the ball in perfect timing to brace for the collision at the plate, spin and throw. You know, he knew that he had it right there. I mean, that is as fine a play as you'll ever see. When you, as a pitcher, when you got that squeeze play coming down on you, boy, there's all kinds of things going through your mind. And he did it absolutely perfect with that. Barehanded, you've got to make sure it's not too far into the palm of your hand, out on your fingertips, stiff wrist, and flip it to your catcher so it doesn't sail over his head or throw it into the ground. And then
I can't believe that double play.
That was great. I mean, I thought the way that it might have been a double play, the way Osmus kind of took his time. Sometimes that's the indicator that, yes, I got this, the squeeze play, because that runner wants to make sure he knows that the guy's not swinging. The third base coach will verbally tell the runner at third, so he doesn't have to respond there. But you like to see a lot of times that hitter tell you that, yes, I've got it.
After the Cardinals hit into double play after double play against the Mets, they have turned 2 very key double plays tonight. One in the 5th to end that inning, and now this one here in the 7th. You will not find a better double play than the one we just witnessed.
Now, really, Adam Wainwright, you know, you really have to bow your net. You know, you made a great play. You had everybody help out. But now with 2 outs, make sure that guy in scoring position does not score.
Blocked by Molina. Again, defense coming into play here.
This is Mark Loretta pinch hitting for Rodriguez. Maybe he's a good athlete. He proved it once again, didn't he?
Sure did. Mark Loretta in his 13th Major League season.
Second stint with the Astros. Good hitter.
Lifetime .299 hitter. Closing in on 1,500 hits for his career.
Yeah, this is where, Adam, you sit there and you say, okay, you know, you pretty much know that this is going to be your last inning of work. Make sure this is your last batter.
Loretta hit so well a year ago. He was the starting second baseman for the American League in the All-Star game. He was with Boston. Wainwright is due up third for the Cardinals in the top of the 8th. Everett is the runner at second base. A count of 1 ball and 2 strikes. Seven innings, 4 hits, and 3 runs given up by Wandy Rodriguez.
98 pitches right there, so you know he's going on fumes, and hung a pitch. And so Molina went out there and said, hey, just make sure, you know, pull it down. All you have to do is give me 1 good pitch and you can go home. Be a cheerleader. Loretta very capable of tying this game up. Not really a power hitter. He's a good contact guy, but those Crawford boxes are so shallow and looming.
Loretta is 0 for 2 this season. In the hole here with 1 ball and 2 strikes. He almost hit him.
Good
2
pitch.
and 2.
Now that's a good pitch right there. He is ahead in the count, trying to either make that perfect pitch up and in, or you're busting him off the plate to set up the next pitch. You've got to have full concentration in every pitch. Don't get ahead of yourself, or you can have a bad location with a pitch. But watch this one. Should be away.
Outside, 3 and 2.
Breaking ball away, but just not enough of the strike zone. Teasing.
So on this 3-2 pitch, where does he want it?
Well, to me, it's going to be a breaking ball, probably away. Remember, he likes to keep the ball down. Some guys would try to elevate and get a guy to chase, but he only concentrates on down in the strike zone.
The 3-2. Broken bat. Wainwright has got it. He snares it to Pujols, and the Cardinals get out of the jam. 8th inning coming up after this remarkable double play. Started by the pitcher, Wainwright. The presence of mind by Molina to fire it to first. The key double play. This year, the Chevy's Cardinals Crew Kids Club features Chris Carpenter. And for only $20, members receive over $70 of great stuff, including a couple of tickets to a Cardinals game, autograph party on Saturday, September 1st, a photo album, Cardinals Crew light plate switch. And the number to call is 345-9600 to find more information about the Cardinals Crew Kids Club, brought to you by Chevy's. Cardinals lead it 3-1, top of the 8th. Tonight's scoreboard brought to you by Southwest Airlines. And the Mets just keep on rolling over Atlanta 5-1. Arizona over Washington 7-1. This is our Chevy called to the bullpen.
Former Miller, the only lefty in their bullpen.
Chicago having some fun at Milwaukee. They lead that game 8-1.
Scored 6 runs in the first inning. Kind of broke that one loose.
Phillies leading Florida 8-2. Cincinnati has already beaten Pittsburgh 6-1, so the Pirates finally lose. Colorado, San Diego later tonight, as well as Los Angeles and San Francisco. Down the right field line, this ball is just foul off the bat of So Taguchi. Kennedy on deck, and then Wainwright's spot is due up third.
He would be shocked if he went out there for the 8th, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Cardinals have had activity in the bullpen with Franklin and the left-hander Randy Flores. For all intents and purposes, I mean, Cardinals starting pitching outside of that opening night has been pretty good. There's Looper and Wainwright, Kip Wells. Not bad, Al. Not great, but not bad.
I talked to Dave Duncan last night, and he's very pleased with the starting rotation. So they might have to tweak the bullpen a little bit.
Call third strike on So Taguchi. 1 for 3 tonight with a run scored.
Scott Spezio now has gone to the on-deck circle, so Wainwright 7 innings of just outstanding baseball, 1 run allowed. And boy, there are times, you know, see, he can reach back in that, like he did in the 7th inning when the first 2 men reach, and then use his experience as a reliever. Spezio, who's been nursing the sore back, but he's supposed to make a start tomorrow.
Correct. Tony said he'll play tomorrow. Could have played tonight, but give him one more day. The rest of the back is he's available to pinch hit. He's on deck. Here's Adam Kennedy. Kennedy 0 for 2. Struck out, popped out to short. Jammed on that pitch. Fouled back. 1 ball, 1 strike. Tony also said about Jim Edmonds that he is nursing a sore hamstring to go along with the surgeries following the toe and the shoulder, and that he, meaning Edmonds, has not told the club, as Kennedy lines it out to Carlos Lee, of having any kind of lingering effects from the post-concussion syndrome. So at this point, it's the hamstring, the toe, and the shoulder. This year, when you can't be home to watch the Cardinals on FSN, check out MLB.tv, and you can log on to the internet to watch every out-of-market Cardinals game live or listen to every radio broadcast live. For more details on MLB.tv, visit STLCardinals.com, where baseball is always on.
Yeah, and that's good to know. Is no lingering effects from the post-concussion syndrome, and the hamstring's probably a byproduct of him not really being able to condition with the 2 surgeries in the offseason. Remember, only had 11 at bats, so you know, those legs are a little heavy.
Spezio 1 for 2. Looks a little stiff up there, but he did chase a bad ball.
He's got a couple bulging discs in his middle of his back. Spezio. It's something he's had in the past, but it's anti-inflammatories, and that subsides. It's
1-2 the count on Spezio. Craig Biggio will lead off next inning of the top of the order coming up. One-two on its way to Scott Spezio. Better rip that time. Can't be easy, and you know as well as anybody with back problems and neck problems, sitting on the bench and then coming in and facing major league pitching. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, and sometimes it's when you reach. You know, if you stay within your stroke and you have your natural stroke, but when you reach out over the plate, try to do something when you know, like he did on the first strike, but that time he resisted.
Spezio a year ago turned out to be such a valuable player for the Cardinals, and he turned that into a 2-year contract extension.
Boy, did he have some big hits.
Sure did.
If he would have multiplied the playing time over a full season, it would have been a monster year.
Well, I'm not so sure we're saying World Series champion St. Louis Cardinals without that triple against Milwaukee.
You might not be saying
Houston.
You were going to say that they even get to postseason.
Exactly.
Saturday afternoon, wasn't it?
That's right. Final Saturday regular season game, and he does it against the closer of the Milwaukee Brewers. A check swing held up by Spezio to appeal, but he would not go around. It's Tim Cheetah down there at first.
Isn't he from Minnesota?
As we'll find out, I'm sure in our ears, he is from Minnesota. Tom Mee, our director, is also from Minnesota, and anybody from Minnesota we find out about. 2-out walk, and in steps David Eckstein. So still the Cardinals will have Duncan come up one more time along with Albert Pujols and Scott Rowland.
Sure wouldn't hurt to get an insurance run or two.
Cardinals were at times very good on the road a year ago. The year before that, they were outstanding.
Nobody really wants to hear it, but I think that with everything that went on as the world champions and all the celebrations and the ceremonies, this team needs to go on the road for a while and kind of come together. Just play baseball.
How many times did you find yourself, too, as a player, finding out about other guys and the camaraderie of being on the road, being with your teammates, and then all of a sudden that translates into having success on the field? You hear about it all the time.
Right. In the course of baseball season, these guys live with their teammates more than they do their families.
So do the broadcasters. Get over here, Al. Yes. Yeah.
That's after the ball game.
2 balls and a strike on Eckstein. Duncan on deck. Miller is just trying to pound the outside corner here on these right-handed batters. 3-1.
A lot of times a pitcher will have one dominant side that they like to throw to, and then when they try to come to their opposite side of their throwing arm, you really determine whether how good they can be if they can successfully pitch to the opposite side of their throwing arm. In this case, a lefty throwing inside to a right-handed batter. Does he get in far enough?
Eckstein was 3 for 9 in the series against New York. And tonight he's 0 for 3. He's grounded back to the pitcher. Fly to right and grounded out to short. Wind is picked up on the field. Pleasant night here in Houston. Spezio is off on that 3-2 pitch. We'll do it again. Good matchup tomorrow. Anthony Reyes will go against Roy Oswalt, the ace of this staff for Houston. Reyes will make his debut here in 2007, and it seemed like last year, every time his spot was up, he got some of the toughest draws of anybody. Spezio off with the pitch, and Eckstein hits it out to left. That's going to drop for a hit in front of Carlos Lee. And another chance for Duncan. So 2-out walk to Spezio, the pinch hitter. Little flare off the bat of Eckstein, and now it's Duncan, who has got a couple of hits tonight. A double, home run, and he's struck out. Tried to extend that double for a triple and was gunned out at third.
A little surprising that Carlos Lee, with Eckstein up, playing so deep with such a short left field porch. You know, that ball, you could play a little more shallow, and anything over your head is not going to go very far anyway, because he's going to carry him off the scoreboard. He wasn't anywhere near that play to even dive forward or make any effort.
Cardinals have 5 hits tonight. They have yet to strand a runner. 2 outs, 2 on. Duncan has had some good rips in there, hitting .455 now in these first 4 games.
Another bat against left-handers that he'll learn from it. Just don't expand your strike zone.
1-0 pitch. Duncan had 2 of the Cardinals' 6 hits in Tuesday night's loss and a double Wednesday. One of the 2 Cardinal hits in that game.
Hold that front shoulder in, just try and drive the ball the opposite field. And then if he misses with that slider on the inner part, you can still pull the trigger. It'll keep you from bailing on that, because they should just throw him exclusively sliders. And anytime they throw a fastball, it should be wasted.
Pujols on deck. Duncan trying to extend the inning. 1-2 pitch. Hung in there a little better on that pitch.
It was a fastball, but it was supposed to be down and away, way off the strike zone, trying to get him in this location, up in the middle of the plate.
On deck, Mr. Pujols, who is 0 for 3 tonight. Eckstein is the runner at first. Spezio the runner at second, and the Cardinals trying to extend their 2-run lead. And Duncan rips it down the right field line. It is hooking, and it is a fair ball. It hops up into the seats, and Duncan will wind up at second base. Spezio will score. They will hold up Eckstein. And that's what you're talking about, Al. Real good piece of hitting there by Duncan, just to hold in there with the front shoulder.
Well, and there was a bad location on the breaking ball. I mean, you're going to be able to hit bad breaking pitches that are hangers. You know, here you see he goes, works his slider. He's going to try and work the slider away, where he gets a count 1-1. Another slider. You know, now the Astros tried to throw a setup outside. It was a fastball, and there's a breaking ball. Did get it far enough away, and he's got that big wingspan, and he hooked it down in the right field corner. 3rd RBI of the day, and also 3 of the Cardinals' 6 hits.
Miller will intentionally pass Pujols. They'll load him up for Scott Rowland. So Chris Duncan with a 2-run homer. He's got 3 RBIs tonight and a pair of doubles.
Pitching change. Rowland coming up. They'll bring in a right-hander. I think it's Rick White. I'm not sure. There it is.
They've got 7 righties in their bullpen. That's their only lefty. That's Miller. White will come in, bases loaded, and Rowland due up for St. Louis. And the Cardinals trying to pick up their first win on the season. And they lead it 4-1 here in the top of the 8th. New network that covers one of the best conferences in the country, from football to basketball and everything in between. Now you can see the Big Ten's best all on one channel. The Big Ten Network, coming August of 2007. One of the stories tonight has been Chris Duncan. Another base hit, an extra base hit against a lefty, and I believe he is now 4 for 5 against left-handed pitching to start this season. So way to go, Chris Duncan. A call to the bullpen is brought to you by Chevrolet. Here's 39-year-old Rick White out of Springfield, Ohio.
His second stint with the Astros. Pitched with them part of the 2003 season. Last year he started with Cincinnati. Was designated for an assignment and claimed off the waivers by Philadelphia. Pitched for the Cardinals a few years back, and he'll get Scott Rowland.
Rowland tonight is fly to left. He's popped out to the catcher. Osmus on a good play that was near the screen. He struck out back in the 7th. White against Rowland. Bases loaded. 4-1 Cardinals, top of the 8th.
A lot of sliders.
Works on that first base side of the rubber, and the first pitch is fouled back.
Fastball at him to get ahead in the count, but we'll see if he starts working the sliders away. Grand slam right now would look nice, wouldn't it?
Sure would. Solo home run on Tuesday night for Scott Rowland. Had one of the Cardinals' 2 hits Wednesday, 5th inning single. He also celebrated his 33rd birthday.
Another fastball.
Room into left center field for Rowland, and he has 16 doubles inside this ballpark, which is tied with Chipper Jones of the Braves, the most by any opponent. So they shade him a bit to the opposite way in the 0-2 pitch. 1-2.
Almost hit him with that fastball.
Cardinals find themselves with the bases loaded thanks to the 2-out walk issued by Miller to Spezio. That extended the inning. The 1-2 pitch. Got him on the inside corner. Rowland slams down the bat, slams down his helmet, tosses off the batting gloves, and that sends us to the bottom of the 8th. 4-6-0 for the Cardinals, 1-5-0 for Houston, and we turn to our game reset. It's brought to you by Singular Wireless. Well, let's take a look at that Singular Wireless game reset. Adam Wainwright, certainly a story here tonight, Al. Terrific pitching, and got things started offensively for the Cardinals with an RBI double. Chris Duncan has got 3 hits tonight. Defense has also been a big part of it, and double plays.
Wainwright's been in the middle of these defensive. Here's the gem right there. Base the squeeze play and gets the out at home plate, and then they complete the double play with Molina's throw to first. Ryan Franklin will take over here. Went to spring training. A chance to make the 5th spot as a starter, but finds himself in the bullpen. An area that he pitched last year between Cincinnati and Philadelphia. Has some good games against the Cardinals, and interesting that first time the Cardinals have a lead and go to their bullpen, they bring in Ryan Franklin.
Right. Top of the order, Biggio as Skip Schumacher is into the ballgame now. Takes over in left field for Duncan. Biggio does have a base hit tonight. And I think when you were looking at a guy to get you to an Isringhausen, more than likely, many times, Tony La Russa would have gone with Josh Kenny as a terrific slider, a strikeout guy, and 1 pitch, ground ball, Eckstein, high throw, but they get Biggio by a step. So it is interesting to see Ryan Franklin here.
And he's got some experience. You know, he's been a starter in the past. He's not going to be afraid out there. And he had some long, extended outings against the Cardinals last year, and I'm sure that was part of the decision making why to bring him into camp. And he threw a good slider right there to get Biggio out.
Mike Lamb looks at a strike. Franklin came into camp. The idea of possibly being the number 5 starter for the Cardinals, but he's in that mold maybe of a Josh Hancock, a guy that can start, go long into games as Rowland will give it a look, and it's out of play. Franklin is 6'3", 190 pounds, 34 years of age. 3rd consecutive start to a season with a different team. He's been with Seattle, the Phillies a year ago, and now the St. Louis Cardinals. Lamb with a couple of walks tonight. Pujols will take it. Steps on the bag for out number 2.
Couple clunkers, ground ball variety, and that's I mean, ideally you'd like to have a strikeout guy, but get those ground balls and outs and out.
You might expect on a Friday night, which they honor Jeff Bagwell and the Cardinals in town. You get a big crowd. We've got a sold-out crowd tonight here at Minute Maid Park.
Right, Franklin does his job. And now with Berkman, the switch hitter coming up, and a much more dangerous hitter from the left side, to bring in the lefty, turn him around.
2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th, and a 4-1 Cardinals lead.
Tom Hughes with
Baseball on FSN Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser, the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Open up a world of taste. By Chevrolet. Meet the all-new Silverado 2007 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. See for yourself. Shop and compare at stlchevy.com. And by Advance Auto Parts, providing car care know-how to protect your investment. We're ready in advance. Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas. Game 1 of this 3-game series. The young Cardinal fan enjoying this one so far. It's 4-1. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th. And Randy Flores, a postseason hero, is in. Great in postseason play. Carry that over to spring training. 11 Grapefruit League games. Over 10 innings pitched and did not walk a batter this spring. Matter of fact, he struck out 9. They turn around Berkman. His power side is from the left side. And the first pitch is a ball. Berkman tonight is 1 for 3. You think of Game 7 of the NLCS. More times than not, people think about Yadier Molina's home run. You think about the catch by Andy Chavez, the terrific curveball by Adam Wainwright to strike out Carlos Beltran. Jeff Supan's terrific start, but lost in that is the guy on the mound. Randy Flores got the win in Game 7 against New York. He pitched out of that inning in which he retired 3 batters with a couple of strikeouts and a ground out and pitched out of trouble.
Rewarded with a 2-year contract, and it's his second appearance. Tyler Johnson's already made 3 appearances for the Cardinals. These guys will be used as situational guys and get a lot of work, keep sharp.
Here's a 2-2 pitch. He got him. He strikes out Berkman to end the 8th. Good work by number 34. We head to the 9th, and the Cardinals lead it by the score of 4-1. Wilson, Molina, and Taguchi coming up. Top of the 9th, and the Cardinals have a lead of 4-1. Preston Wilson will lead it off against Rick White. As White was able to strike out Scott Rowland with the bases loaded to end the top of the 8th. Wandy Rodriguez went 7, and Miller. White now. First pitch is fouled back to Yadier Molina standing on deck, and then we'll see Taguchi. Part of this rotation for Houston, they have added Woody Williams, the former Cardinal. We will not see him in this opening series against the Astros, but at some point we will. And as Jeff Bagwell was telling us earlier, and I would have to imagine, Al, a lot of it would depend on where the Astros are in the standings, but
yeah,
you know, Roger Clemens would come back and fit into the rotation quite nicely.
I think, like you said, unless if they are anywhere near and look like they have a chance to get to postseason, you would think Roger would come back and pitch for the Astros. And I don't think Phil Garner or you or I expect this team to not be in a contention place.
I would say this: the Central is wide open.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to run away with it.
Right. Two and 2, the count on Preston Wilson. A curveball chop foul. You got to wonder how some of these general managers feel in the game of baseball about, you know, not only a guy like Clemens, but what happens after Clemens? What about when a John Smoltz is 43 or 44 and still in good enough shape if he wants to do a situation like a Roger Clemens. There's going to be some guys that keep themselves in good enough shape to do that. That one is hit to third to Mike Lamb. Is it a disturbing trend in baseball? Is it something that they welcome?
Yeah, I think there's the Astros general manager,
Tim Purpura,
and Roger is a different breed. He had the full acceptance of his teammates to have that unusual, clause to where he really, when the team was on the road, he didn't have to be there unless he was pitching. And I think everybody knows that he works out.
Broken bat. Caught by the shortstop Everett. Molina is out number 2, and Isringhausen is getting loose.
So I mean, it's going to be a situation where it can become a major distraction. But when you have a team like Houston, you got Biggio and Bagwell and Berkman, when they sign off on it, why is pointing somebody else, not going to pick up Palmeiro, but Palmeiro's not going to say anything. And you've got arguably the greatest pitcher in all of his Cy Youngs and what he's done in the game, and how well he's pitched. Not every team would be able to accept that type of clause for an aging superstar.
How would the Yankees approach that? That would be a question, because they have said, look, if you're part of the team, you're part of the team every day.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Not, you've got, he doesn't live there like he does here. So that, that might be a determining factor whether he goes there. I think his first choice would be Houston.
1-1 pitch. Taguchi gets a piece. 2 outs here in the top of the 9th, and the Cardinals lead it 4-1. Taguchi trying to extend it to Adam Kennedy. So tonight, Singleton scored back in the 3rd. He's popped out and struck out with a foul ball.
I have a hard time sometimes with closers, and then Lee Smith comes to mind, where he takes a nap for the first 6 innings. You're asking your teammates to put you in a position to do your job. So I always felt obligated to be a cheerleader and come out and watch them and root them on, and mentally prepare myself for the opportunity to pitch late in the game.
Checking on the ankle or the foot of So Taguchi. Greg Hawk, the assistant trainer to Barry Weinberg. 1-2 the count on So. I'm sure Greg, along with Barry, thrilled to receive their World Series rings the other night.
Barry wondered why he wasn't first in line.
Two and 2 the count on So Taguchi. Curveball is hit out of play. Al, you come up with some lines every once in a while. You just kind of float them out there. And I enjoy them.
Thank you. Haven't heard from the Hawaiian governor lately.
It's not the governor quite yet, Al. Oh. As So Taguchi is retired. And the 9th inning, bottom half, coming up with Lee, Scott, and Burke. Cardinals with a lead of 4-1 as the bottom of the 9th rolls in here in Houston. 4-6-0 for St. Louis and 1-5-0 for the Astros. If there was a positive, Al, to that series against New York, you got to look at this guy as being a positive. With a scoreless inning, got out of it pain-free, felt pretty good, looked pretty good too.
Yeah, he looked outstanding, especially when that's the toughest we've seen in the past. The toughest assignment for Izzy's come into a game where it's just lopsided. That was a 10-0 game, but he went out there and threw 10 pitches. He's the all-time Cardinal saves leader with 173. He's pitched well in this ballpark, 3-0 and an ERA under 2, and he's converted 11 of 14 save opportunities. One more save, and he'll have 250 for his career.
First man he will see is Carlos Lee. Lee tonight with an RBI. And a fastball at 93 miles an hour on the outside corner, right on the black at the knees for a strike.
Izzy last year, when that hip was bothering him so much, he just had to worry about his landing position and not about control. And he says now it feels so good that he can just concentrate on location and know that it's not going to hurt when he lands on his leg, and he can get over the top of it.
Blew it by him. 1-2. Thought his velocity the other night looked pretty good too.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's just when it's tough enough to face major league hitters and have some good stuff and location on it, but when you're worrying about
the 1-2 is a broken bat, knocked down by Rowland, still with time, not in time, safe, and Lee is aboard.
He can run for a big man a little bit. He'll steal his share of bases and stuff. See how they score that. It's not a routine ball. It's to his left. It took a little funky hop on him and in the vicinity. And they have scored it a hit, an infield hit. So a little tough luck for Izzy, but get the double play.
Cardinals all-time saves leader, 173. Hit down the left field line. It is slicing and foul.
This ballpark, even though those Crawford boxes are so shallow into left field, to me it really favors the left-handed hitter, because you get an outside pitch, you can just kind of throw it up there with a weak swing, and then that ball really jumps out into right center. But a left-handed hitter can kind of just get that outside pitch and just almost check his swing and hit it up off that scoreboard or over.
Berkman is a good example of that.
Sure. And that swing right there to Luke Scott, it was foul, but it gave you an indication of easily cleared distance for a home run.
Isringhausen, no stranger to pitching with runners on. His first game back after the injury in spring training. Bases loaded, nobody out.
But it was balls like that, exactly, infield single there that just clunkers that just eluded fielders and just were put in perfect position where they couldn't make plays. And then he bowed his neck and got out of a jam. And scored.
Playing behind Lee, the runner at first, and another weak ground ball. Kennedy will go to Albert. And that's out number 1.
You mentioned that they were playing behind him, and it is a bit risky. But a lot of times you just go out there and take that base and try to avoid the double play. Another clunker, but this time they made the play.
You and I have talked about it so many times. I don't understand why you just don't do that. You put yourself in scoring position, but more importantly, as you say, you keep yourself out of a double play.
And, maybe with a couple more pitches, he would have gotten a bigger lead just to see how far he could get. That run really doesn't mean anything. You don't want it to score, but you're trading out for one.
Sure. 1-0 pitch to Burke. 2-0. Burke is struck out twice and doubled. He doubled into the corner, down the left field line. That was back in the 7th inning. Got a little pop. 2-0 pitch on its way. Isringhausen has the fastball, the cutter, the sinker, curveball. 2 balls and a strike. 2-2.
There's a cutter there, and it kind of hung up a little bit. But just pulled foul for the second strike.
Cardinals do have a right-hander up in the bullpen. That is Hancock, I believe.
I think he's just throwing on his own just to get some work in.
2-2 pitch.
So he got up to start the inning.
Last thing that Isringhausen wants to do here is walk this man and then bring the tying run to the plate. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. The Cardinals are 1 out away from their first win.
You know, there were times a year ago where Izzy was just throwing cutter, and it's good to see that psychologically he wanted the fastball.
Bill Garner will use his one left-handed bat, and that is Palmeiro. Our Budweiser player of the game is Adam Wainwright. He's in line for his first win of the season.
And be a game-winning RBI, and he also made some fine defensive plays right in the middle of all the action. So got a few choices tonight, and that's good to see, but we'll give it to Adam.
Cardinals have turned 2 double plays, but as you mentioned, Al, none bigger than the 1-2-3 double play in the 7th.
And the other one was a 3-6-1.
Right,
so he was involved in both of them.
Sure. Palmeiro was a tough out. We saw that with the Cardinals. He was part of a World Series winner in Anaheim.
He has 106 lifetime pinch hits. Already 1 for 3 this season, but one of the toughest guys to strike out. He makes contact. Not going to hit it for a lot of power, but he's going to flare the ball.
1 for 3 so far this season. Isringhausen can't come up with it into center field. Here comes Carlos Lee, and he's going to score as the big man rumbles home, and it cuts the lead to 4-2, and it brings the tying run to the plate.
They're going to go for power. Go with Jason Lane. A hit for Osmus.
Pinch hitters for Houston are now 3 for 10. Palmeiro 1 for 4 is or rather 2 for 4 now as a pinch hitter. That ties him for 14th place with Gates Brown at 107 for pinch hits.
Yeah, and you go right now, you go for a guy that's got a lot of power. Kind of been a little bit of an enigma, trying to get more playing time, but a lot of times it's either hit the long ball or come up empty.
And Lane takes a strike on the outside corner.
Good pitch right there.
Jason Lane in his 6th major league season, all with Houston. Lane out to right. Should stay in the ballpark. It will. The Cardinals win it as Preston Wilson is there for win number 1. Cardinals win it 4-2.
First save for Izzy and 250th of his career. Congratulations to Izzy.
So Wainwright picks up the victory. Isringhausen gets the save. And the Cardinals get the win. Our final 4-2. We've got a lot coming up here from Houston. After this timeout, it's Pat Paris. 4-2 our final tonight.